Get out the back there, guys. Here you go. Thanks, everyone. After on the field for the lads, assistant coach Dan Vettori here to talk to you tonight. So if you've got a question for Dan, let us know.
Dan, that was clearly a tough day. Did you feel there were times there, particularly in that middle session, where you actually lost control of the game?
I wouldn't say the game. I think it was obviously a taxing session because Crawley was so dominant and he played so well right from the onset. We always had some clear plans for him, but he was too good on a wicket like this today. So I think that period where him and Root got together, it was almost all-out attack. We knew how important that partnership was, and the run rate obviously got away from us. Where in the past, when we've gone to that plan, we've still been able to manage the run rate, and today it wasn't possible, and that was because two batsmen just were too good on the day.
Dan, can you give us an update on how Mitch Stark is going? It looked like he had an issue maybe with his leg in addition to the shoulder thing, and also what was kind of going on with him coming off the ground and then back on?
I think leg's good, no issues there. I think shoulder, obviously, saw what happened in the field. He's currently got some ice on it and pretty confident that'll be right tomorrow. He's just one of those guys who doesn't like to spend too much time off the park, so he wanted to get on the field as quickly as possible to see how it was, but he got straight into a hot spot, and I think 3 balls in a row got to him. He didn't quite feel comfortable throwing it. I haven't actually spoken to him, but that's what it looked like. But I think we're all pretty confident that he can bounce back tomorrow.
Was he even going to bowl back right at the end there as well?
Well, that's why he went back on the field. I think he felt confident that he could bowl just from his warm up balls. But like I said, when he was put to the test, 3 balls in a row, I think he just didn't quite feel right throwing it in. So that probably led to him jumping back off.
Dan, in your time playing, you had to juggle captaincy as well as bowling responsibilities. Did you ever find yourself sort of in positions like that? How difficult is it to keep captaincy and bowling plans in mind, and how do you think Pat's going with that dual role?
I think it's different because the game's on such high octane in terms of this series and the way that England play and how good they've been, particularly today, and they're so aggressive and they take the game on. So it's a constant factor trying to marry up your own bowling versus the plans, but I think through the whole series, I think Pat's been exceptional. He likes advice. He likes to talk to people around the group. You see him often with Steve Smith, so there's a lot of collaboration going on. I think it's just one of those sessions where we pushed exceptionally hard, and England responded. And I think the amount of boundaries in particular they were able to score, even with the field set the way they were, we just weren't able to mitigate that run rate at all. So I think he's done an exceptional job all throughout the series.
Dan, there's obviously a lot of talk about Nathan Lyon and what his absence means. Just can you talk us through your thoughts on Australia not playing a spinner? Do you still think that was the right choice?
Well, I think there's obviously a number of factors in it. First of all, that Mitchell Marsh played so well to put pressure on the selectors and trying to balance up Cameron Green coming back into the team. Thoughts on the wicket and also with the potential weather conditions around. So we potentially thought the test match was going to be of a shortened nature, and also the way that England play, how aggressive they are, how they can shorten the game up a little bit. So I think there are a lot of things that went into it, but obviously it's the selector's call, but I think it's one of the ones that we'll judge at the end of the test match rather than sort of 2 days through.
Dan, you mentioned the tactics to Zak Crawley and Joe Root obviously banging the ball in short and whatnot and bowling pretty straight. And do you think, firstly, you got those right? Obviously, Zak Crawley's been susceptible outside off a fair bit in this series. And secondly, do you think that they were able to adjust quick enough when they didn't go to plan, particularly in that middle session?
Well, I think first of all, it's how well Crawley played. I think it was an exceptional innings. Like I mentioned, he was able to take the game to us like he has throughout the series. He doesn't let any bowlers settle, and his strike rate's phenomenal. And today he took it to another level. And I think that was the nature of the conditions as well. It's a pretty flat surface. There wasn't a lot of swing or seam on offer, so it made it even more difficult. But I just think it's the pressure they put on, and probably more than anything, the way that Root got off to such a flying start. We've had some success with the short ball to him in the previous Test matches, and you could see that was a tactic again today. But he dealt with it so well, and it more than just being able to not be under pressure from a wicket-taking perspective. The fact that he was able to score so quickly made it difficult to control that middle session.
We've got Dan, followed by Dan, followed by Dan. So Dan.
Hi, Dan. One question, just to follow up. You talked about Pat in terms of, I guess, captaining against that style of play. I just wanted to ask if over the series there is any kind of, I suppose, cumulative effect of having, England do sort of just keep coming at you, game by game, session by session, and I suppose what it's been for the team to kind of deal with that day upon day.
Well, I think, I speak only from a bowling perspective, I think it's been a challenge, but also a challenge that the bowlers have enjoyed because there are wicket-taking options all the way through the series. So I feel like you've seen England only bat for 81 overs, I think, at most, apart from their declaration. So it feels like the bowlers are in the game the whole time, and I think it's trying to balance those two things up. They're scoring quickly, you feel like you can take them out. Take a wicket. Do you keep going? Do you keep pressing? And probably today was the first day that our press was met with them going at 7 and over. And I think in the back of our minds, we always knew that England had this in them because they play so aggressively. And I think you see the respect that the players have for their tactics with some of the fields that we've had to set to mitigate that at times. But today was that perfect storm of them coming hard at us and us not being able to come back against them with wicket-taking options, which is what's allowed us to be ahead in the series so far, I think.
And just to quickly, you mentioned perfect storm, the weather forecast for the next few days. How much of a factor was that, like, in discussion, I guess, before the game, and how do you view that now, or do you just kind of have to play the game as you
I think we have to. I think obviously England are in control, but if we can come in tomorrow morning and get those final wickets for as fewer runs, then it sets up for that final innings, and the weather may play a part in that, but I think the first session is the crucial one for us.
Thanks, Dan. We'll finish off with Dan.
Just on that, Dan, not trying to be funny there, but in terms of the weather, is there a point at which your mindset does turn towards draw first when you consider the situation of the match and the series?
Look, I think it all leads to batting exceptionally well in the third innings, and that's what will set up the rest of the game, as well as how we bowl tomorrow. So, look, I think it will be about the performance rather than the result, and I know that's easy to say, but we won't have a chance to have a say in the result unless we do this next day well, and I think that'll be the key messaging from Andrew and Paddy going forward, that we have to do the third day well to give us a chance in the fourth and fifth days, if there is play or if it is weather influenced.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.